Hey guys, I'm Luke Hatton with the Weather Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Rain Viewer. The Rain Viewer application gives you the opportunity to view your local radar as well as the national radar. Rain Viewer is free and available on iOS and Android down in the link in the description. You should definitely check it out. Now enjoy the episode.
All right. Good afternoon or morning or evening, where you may be. This is the Weather Podcast. This is episode, I don't know. This is kind of a redo of an episode because the idiot here, named Parker, messed up the audio of the last one. So we're going to do this again. Hopefully it's just fine. It should be just last time. Our guest again is meteorologist Katie Nickolaou. She's from Sioux City,
Hello.
working at Sioux City. I think so. Yep, Sioux City.
Sioux City, Iowa.
And she's just going to kind of give a little background of herself, how she got into meteorology, what she's doing now, and the floor is yours. Go ahead and take it.
Awesome. Yeah. So, like you said, I'm Katie Nickolaou, and I was born and raised in Battle Creek, Michigan, which is where all of the cereal comes from. And being from Michigan, we had a ton of lake effect snow and storms and 2 tornadoes, potentially up towards 3 that I was involved with. And so I really enjoyed the weather. And as a little kid, was in one of those tornadoes and thought this is cool, and everyone else was panicking. So clearly there was something off with me from a very young age. And then I just kept going and studying storms and all the books I could get from the library. I watched Jim Cantori on the Weather Channel with Storm Stories, like best program ever. And then I decided to go to college for it. So I went to Valparaiso University in Northwest Indiana, graduated with a bachelor's degree in meteorology, and then I thought, oh, usually when you're out of college you have to go to a weekend job, and I don't want to do that, so let's go to mornings. So ever since then, for the past 2 years now, actually I just had my 2-year anniversary, I've been working from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday, and I think my life schedule has flipped permanently because of it. If I go to bed anytime after like 10 o'clock, I am just so shaming myself. Like, what are you doing? You need to go to bed.
Yeah. So that's, quite exciting. I mean, go from college and then granted, your sleep schedule's kind of flip, but at the same time, at least it's a job that you enjoy and stuff like that. So, you're
Exactly.
a chaser slash, or a storm chaser. Can you give us a little background on some of the storms you've seen, or just how you've been in chasing and how well you've done all that?
Totally. Yeah. So before I was even, studying meteorology or anything, I was accidentally in a tornado when I was 5 on the highway at night because we didn't see it. But it was fine. It was like an EF nothing because it was a Michigan tornado. And then another one hit my grandparents' house, and that was an EF1. And then another one hit my house the year later. So clearly there was something in nature that was just telling me, you need to go out west. And then after that, I was selected. I'm one of the rare people who was able to go 4 years in a row with our convective field study at Valparaiso University. And basically that's just fancy way of saying Stormchase, but that way we don't get kicked out of restaurants because apparently out west they don't appreciate when you use the term storm chaser occasionally. And so we would be going on this convective field study for 10 days every summer for 4 years. So 40 days of chasing. Probably one of the most memorable ones that I was on was the Lawrence, Kansas EF4 back in 2019. And that one, we weren't supposed to be on that because that was our best chase we've ever had. We had every day, I think the lowest risk we had was an enhanced. It was insane. And so that day, the front actually passed in front of us because we were at a Sonic eating a snack and watching Twister on our DVD player in our car. And that should have been a dead giveaway that something was going to happen. And the front passed over us. We thought, whatever, we've had a good chase so far. And our professor goes, hey, if we dive south, we might be able to catch like a tail end Charlie or something. And we're like, okay, well, let's dive south. Turns out the Lawrence, Kansas tornado was at the tail end of a line, and we ended up being like a half a mile from it, which was not planned. But we were heading into the metro, and my professor's just like, Katie, you need to drive fast, please. We're fine. It's fine. Like, apparently I don't have that scared reflex of like fearing for my life.
Yeah,
and so I get oddly calm.
Yeah. That's, I couldn't, a half a mile from that. Yeah, that's. I think at one point that storm was actually raining out. But I think at one point it was like.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying. I have like a still picture of the helicopter shot in my head of it, but that is very thrilling.
Well, and it's crazy because the chaser tour that their car got flipped was behind us. Like, it was a decent way behind us, but they were behind us, and we're just like, okay, guys, we're just gonna legally floor it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So that is. Anyways, if anyone has a question or to ask, feel free to. We'll just kind of do some Q&A stuff. Why not? So yeah.
One of my first tornadoes was at my grandparents' house was hit
Really?
too. So yeah,
Okay, I'm seeing a theme here.
Same here.
The theme of weak tornadoes hits the grandparents, and then boom, meteorologist is born.
Exactly. Well, so our grandparents, it was August 25th, 2016. It was that like surprise MCV day that was, I wouldn't say slept on, just people weren't, it wasn't slept on. People weren't, the environment wasn't quite forecasting supposed to be primed for that. And there was, it may have been, I don't remember, but the press got a picture of, I think I have let me go find it real quick, but they found a picture of a thundercloud essentially over my grandma's house. It was just trailing on back there. So I'm gonna get there real quick. You guys can talk about whatever. Finish the Q&A, but yeah.
My first tornado actually was an EF4.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait, which one was that?
No need to brag.
The Murfreesboro. Yeah.
Dang.
Here it is.
That's a heck of a tornado.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
That's
Wow.
from August 25th, 2016. That was over. Grandparents is just right there. So
Wow.
yeah, that day was nuts because we just got off of school and then I guess there was I heard about the EF like Kokomo. Then I actually was going with my dad, and then there was an EF2 that was we almost drove into it because it was right after we couldn't see. That day was nuts. Sorry, excuse me.
Whoa. Whoa.
No.
Calm down,
Dude, we're
everybody.
talking about tornadoes. It's okay to be excited.
Yeah. That day was Tornado Palooza because I was. Anyways, yeah, we're going. That didn't happen the first time. But yeah, that was. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Many close calls. But anyways, if anyone else has any questions, y'all go first.
Yeah. Have you ever intercepted a hurricane?
I haven't, but I so badly want to. It's not fair. My little brother interned in New York City, and now he works in New York City, and he has had more severe weather. Not just like tornadoes or severe storms or anything near him, but he's had more tropical systems than I've ever been in my life. It's not fair. So I'm hoping I'm going to have to take a chasecation and just go into a benign little category 1 and just sit. And that way I can get that patch, the little hurricane chaser patch.
That's my goal this year. If I ever get a chance, either in fall break or if I can take a weekend and just dive south for really anything, even if it's 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm or lower 2.0, I don't care. I want to say something else this year. So that's one of my hopes this year as well. But yeah.
Nice. Oh, I will say I was in Katrina when it was a tropical depression in Indiana. That was that was it. Oh, that doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, like, I count Alberta in 2018 because it was it was subtropical as it passed over Indiana. I remember that day.
I mean, I would have been alive during
I guess it'll
Katrina,
count. We'll count it.
so I suppose I can count.
No
count that for
way.
Me, but
I can't even. What? See, I'm old now. I'm 96, 1996. So, like, gosh dang, now y'all are making me feel old. And that is the first time I've ever felt old.
You're welcome. But yeah, I wasn't quite born yet. Give me about a year or so, and then. But yeah.
See, that 2005, 2006, really 2005 to 2008 had so much interesting severe weather. Like one of the first tornadoes I distinctly remember watching live was the Greensburg, Kansas tornado.
Yep.
And that If you guys ever get the chance to drive through Greensburg, it is freaky. Literally, Main Street to the left, it's just cement slabs with empty street lights. To the right, it's a perfectly bio-green town. It's like,
Yep.
something happened here. If you don't know what happens here, you will know something happened.
Exactly. Yeah. That's another one of the things that I've always wanted to towns I want to drive through. Just in the town. So,
Exactly. Well,
but
and then
yeah.
you get to see how they kind of building dominate.
Exactly.
And, oh my gosh. Yeah, Greensburg's on that list.
Yeah.
And Waukeeta. You got to go to Waukeeta.
That too. Yep. But
Yeah, I remember going through El Reno a few years after.
Oh my gosh. Did you go and see the memorial?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There's so many chasers and just meteorologists and people in general who go and see that memorial. It is insane.
yeah.
You definitely get chills because you're just like, these guys were the best and they got. And it makes you really like be like, okay, we're gonna see top 10 of that.
Quickly before, because my sister actually was in Nashville at the time. She was in Brentwood, so she was like a mile or so from the tornadoes that went through downtown. So we went down, because we have a grandma that used to live that lived in Cookville at the time, but she was just south of the main circulation. It was so weird. Her house was always perfectly fine, but a house was down over, and it was nearly slapped. It was crazy. And I remember seeing the trees that you barked. I mean, it was nuts. I've never seen EF4 damage like that. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm quite surprised it was rated 174. So the amount of the slab houses that I've seen, because a lot of the houses down there are very well built, but they just don't have. They can't build basements because a lot of the soil down there is rock and stuff. But it was that kind of changed me. All the stuff that I've seen, it was horrible because we went down and helped with search and rescues and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. Like, a lot of my generation and like people who are getting into meteorology love chasing, but they don't understand the whole, okay, we got to call off the chase because someone's in that building. And that is a hard call to make. So, word of warning, if you're going into chasing, do some like first aid training just because you don't want to feel helpless in a situation.
Yeah, for sure. So
I've seen a lot of strong tornado damage. I saw Shelbyville EF2 a few years ago, Murfreesboro EF4, Nashville EF3, Cookville EF4.
Wow. Dang, you've seen a lot more than I have.
Yeah. In Dixie Alley too, of course. Kidding. But
all in Tennessee too.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But something about my family being away from me, and they'll see something big. Yeah, it's just how I notice how it is sometimes. But yeah. And then I guess I have a question real quick. So for people that are wanting to go to meteorology or planning to go to college to go to meteorology soon, what are some like tips that you have for them, or like what are some like good ideas or thoughts that you have for them as they're going to go into that new journey?
Oh, totally. I think the best thing you can do, of course, tour the college before you go. Don't just do an online thing. You want to go in person. You just make a list of all the colleges that have meteorology programs. Small, big, because a lot of people think, I got to go to Oklahoma, I got to go to Penn State.
Yeah.
There's a ton in between. And a lot of times, if you look at the program, talk to the undergrads who are there. If you see students, if you're touring, they'll try to set you up with a student in your program. And know the difference between a large program and a small program. Because that's why I went to Valparaiso University. There's no master's program for meteorology there. They have 5 PhD professors, all in different fields of meteorology. And there's no TAs, no teaching assistants. You're actually being taught by the people who know the stuff.
Yeah.
and they take the time to teach you. Whereas at some of the larger schools, I have friends who have been there, and they said their professors were only there because the school was giving them research money, and they didn't give a care in the world what the students were learning about meteorology as long as they were doing their research. And so make sure you know and do your research to know if the teachers are actually going to take the time and teach you, if you're going to
Yeah.
have TAs and a teacher, or just pure TAs, because
Mm.
sometimes that can get messy.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know that. That kind of makes more sense. That's why I wanted to go to like a pure college. I called you DePage, then
Yeah,
college.
exactly. And so many of these schools have online pages for their meteorology program that are maintained by the program. Like one of my
Yeah.
synoptics classes in junior year, one of our assignments was every day someone had to update the website and
Yeah.
answer the phone in the weather center and stuff. So if they have a phone in their meteorological center, give it a call. Like they don't have to know anything, and just ask them about the program. Something that
Yeah.
you can do in your free time, and I always got really excited when someone called our phone. So you make someone else's day and you find more information.
Exactly.
That's why I've been wanting to go to Western Kentucky University, because it's not a large school.
There you go. Yeah, and see, the thing too is at a larger school, you tend to feel like you get caught up in the mix, which some students love that, because then you have a big pool of people that you can try and be on top of. It gives them the motivation to really push them through. And then I went to Valpo because it's smaller. I like the small community feel of a tiny college that's it's not tiny, but 25 minutes, 30 minutes to get back and forth from end to end. And it's just, I don't know. The program that I graduated with, we only had 12 grads, I think. And it helps with study groups, it helps with people. But if you want to go for a larger one, by all means, don't let that stop you, because in fact, it might help you if you like competition.
Yeah. Which that's why I've really been honing in. I'm probably either going to go to, I may try Valpo University, but my second option is probably going to be Louisville, because I know Louisville just recently that program, or at least updated it. And I haven't done much research yet, which I might do that soon. But I like smaller colleges because, I don't know, they're just nicer, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't feel quite as, I guess, insignificant is the word. Like some of the larger colleges, it's like you drop out, they don't care. But some of them, the programs are so small, every student counts, so they'll do everything they can to help you.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if Andrew or Luke have a question, but you guys can ask.
Yeah. Did you ever experience the Iowa derecho last year?
Oh my gosh, that day will live in infamy for me. So I occasionally, like maybe 3 or 4 times a year, I'll get a migraine headache. Which, if you have had migraines, bless your soul. I hope you never have to. It is one of the most excruciating forms of torture your body can perform.
Yeah,
I woke up for my shift, and I got up at like 1, and I knew it was going to be a meteorologist on our weekend show who was only maybe 6 months into the job. And so I got up, and I was like, okay, severe weather day, oh my gosh. And I could not stand. I literally could not stand on my 2 feet. I was so nauseous. I was like a dizzy beyond belief. I could not drive to work. So I had to call in sick. And so my weekend meteorologist, amazing trooper that she is, handled the entire Durate show by herself. I'm sitting on my couch trying not to puke and just banging my head against the wall saying, you stupid body. And so I experienced it, because it started out, I think, right in my county is when it became severe warned. And then it just, I woke up and I said some expletives I'm not proud of, but I was like, how could I have done this to me? But yes, long story short, I did experience it, and I hate myself for it.
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah, I think the day before, like day 2, I think it was a slight risk, and then day 1 it went moderate.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we knew. Like, you looked at it on the models, and you're just like, that could be a D word. And it just, throughout the night, it kept trending. And man alive, there's still SARS on the land
Yeah,
map.
I think because I remember that from everyone was like, oh, this event could be like moderate or higher. I'm like, nah, because like the day before it didn't look that promising. I think either it was, I think originally, I think the summer mill bar was going to be like freaking like I think 20 or plus Celsius. I thought it was going to like just cap us like normal, but no, it did. Actually, the summer mill bar eventually cooled as models went on as the day went on. So I was like, oh yeah, this, and then I woke up. I woke up to I think enhanced, and then I think by the day, by I think the 12Z outlook, I think that's when they pulled them out. And like, oh yeah, we're in for a day, and we for sure were so. But yeah,
Exactly.
I wish I tracked.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
What was that?
I said I wish I tracked that event. I was at school.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Lunch.
man.
I checked, but no.
I think the thing with that one I remember the most of is the aftermath, and not just like, you know, the damage and everything, but the misconceptions of people who are like, was this a hurricane? People are saying this is a land hurricane. I was like, no!
I remember that now because I think one of my friends was like, Park, was there a land hurricane? Because there was 140, I think it was like 140 that they saw. Yeah, it was 140 mile-an-hour gust that was thinking Cedar Rapids. Like, Parker, was that like I'm like, no, that's just how powerful it can be sometimes, and you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, actually, it's more like a large tornado with the wind going in all one direction over hundreds of miles.
Yeah, no kidding.
It just.
That's actually how I found out about it. Someone said, "Did you hear about that land hurricane?" I said, "There's no land hurricane."
What are you smoking? Because there's no such thing.
The land hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. To this day, I will get questions like with the Wisconsin setup that we had just a few weeks ago, or was it last week? Time has no meaning anymore. But I had people being like, is this another land hurricane setup? I was like, okay, first off, it's a derecho. Second of all, land hurricane doesn't exist. And thirdly, it's straight line winds.
Exactly. It's...
Oh, my blood pressure just skyrockets every time I hear that phrase.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was actually tracking that on a live stream on YouTube with someone else, and one of the people watching, the tornado missed their house by 2 miles.
Jeez. Oh, yeah. Chasing in your own backyard is fantastic for spending gas and saving time, but it's awful when it gets too close.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, the same day I was on the Lawrence, Kansas tornado, my little brother was driving back from college, back from Bloomington, Indiana to Michigan, and they had storms. And so we're staring at some of these storms, and we're just like, what on earth? And my brother calls, he's like, hey, Katie, I'm at a McDonald's. They're telling us to get into the freezer. Is this going to hit us? And so I pull up radar scope, and I'm like, okay, it's like 5 miles north of you. You're fine. It's wild when you're chasing for other people.
I'm trying to think. Was there?
It might not have been the Lawrence day. It might have been the day, one of the 2 days before, or something like that.
May 27th. Yeah. May 27th, 2019. I remember because I remember I chased that day. I got the first EF3 that was north.
Really?
Because there was an EF1 in Hamilton County. I do remember that. There was I got an EF1 and EF3 that day. I remember because there was one literally I could see like right out my window where it was at. It was like a mile from my house. I remember that day vividly.
Wow.
They threw out northern Indiana and northern Illinois. So
that was wild.
Yeah, it was.
Was that the day that the Dayton tornado happened?
Yes, it was. Well,
yeah.
Yes, it was the day. It was theoretically the next day, but yeah, it was that same day.
Yeah. People were mad that the Bachelorette was cut off.
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you, if any of you are thinking of going into broadcast meteorology, there is an actual term for that. It's called the Bachelorette effect or the Bachelor effect, depending on what show you're watching. And you will get calls. We even had a call because we had an EF3 here in Lake City in Iowa just a few weeks ago with that Iowa tornado outbreak. It was just on the edge of our county area, but we still cut in, and we had a lady email us saying, how dare you interrupt Jeopardy? Weather is never ever more important than Jeopardy. And I just looked at my chief and she looked at me and we're just like, what? Like, what?
Jeopardy,
out of all shows,
Jeopardy, come Bruh.
Exactly. Like, ma'am, we got instant replay. We got the internet. I will give you access to my Paramount Plus account if you want, or my CBS All Access, whatever they're calling it now.
Mm-hmm.
Just please. Shh, shh.
I've no. Oh my.
Uh,
Wow. Over. Okay. Well, that's new.
yeah,
Jeopardy.
it's such a struggle.
Oh,
Exactly. Well, and
Jeopardy's a
they'll call in
hard
over
show.
anything. Yeah. Well, it's like you ask the public. I think the only thing we can do at this point is ask the public for understanding. I mean, like, listen, we're trying to do the best with what we have. We're trying to protect as many people as we can, and like as scientists, we feel obligated to help. So, and not to mention the FCC requires it that you air the tornado warning. So,
exactly. And that I don't think most people know that. That it's kind of required. You know that you kind of have to do that in case so no one dies. Because
yeah.
in the slash net, everything revolves around that person themselves. Because other people are like alive. So
Yeah, yeah.
you're there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that day that Lake City happened, everyone said it was going to bust because Iowa.
Yeah, I remember.
I'll be honest. I was on that train.
Yeah.
My biggest reason why I was afraid.
What do you mean you were on that train? You were the conductor of that train.
Shut up! I know. Actually, it's between me and my friend Ender because we both were concerned that the summer was going to be too warm, which it almost was, and then the convection fire too early, too east. But see, that's really it's hard with summertime. In summertime, the bottles tend to kind of I wouldn't say under convect, but it's just like for instance, even HRRR, I think at 0Z the day before, even said that there was going to be like discrete supercells for like an hour, and then it was going to be a massive squall. That didn't happen. It was just the discrete supercells for the entire event into a massive squall that eventually died overnight. So it's like it's grand. I probably shouldn't have been on that. I shouldn't have been so heavy in the bus, but I was just. I mean, and it looked like it was getting close to, but eventually storms fired. But yeah, so that's not the here or there. But now
The models have
now
been
I'm proud of this
snot-
moment.
Yeah.
So
No, it's the models have been so just difficult. That's why meteorologists will always have a job. Is the computers,
yeah.
they're always playing behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've found that just in like 2 years with Iowa weather, nowcasting. You just have to nowcast. See if there's a Q field, see if there's any that are individually popping, because screw the models. That's all
Exactly.
done. We're looking at the
Exactly.
mesoanalysis page of the Storm Prediction Center.
Yep. And that's why even with with me and Luke a few days ago, that's why I was so worried because there had been early convection in Illinois, and I was like, oh, like is that going to mess up the boundary for the eventually it did, and the boundary eventually produced, and it produced two EF1s. Like me and Luke were so close to them.
Yeah.
But now we missed them.
We
So
were there, just not close enough.
yeah.
Ah.
But
EF1 in Shelbyville or EF0?
there are two EF1s,
Two
I guess.
EF1s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
the Jewel
so.
and Stanhope tornado is the strongest, most likely.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, other
yeah.
than
Oh yeah, no, I was really surprised with the strength of those tornadoes, especially since it was a cluster. Like you had a cluster of a multi-cell supercell, just conglomerate, and they weren't moving all that well.
Exactly, and that's that kind of almost reminded me of the Dodge City, Kansas Day, where you had like 6 or 8 supercells just conglomerate together and weren't moving because was it a cold front or I don't remember, but the cold front I think was lagging behind. So you had these storms that were just barely moving and were just it was nuts. I remember, but
just inching along.
not one of my proudest forecast days, that's for sure. But
yeah.
Hey, but now you know, like you can take a look if Iowa does that again and just be like, I know what you're doing.
Exactly. I was about to have no smoke anymore, so.
Yeah.
Funny.
Well, see, I moved out here because Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota. Like that's Tornado Alley. I mean, City. The other one was in oh gosh, what's its name? I'm gonna forget its name now. Oh gosh, I think it's like Moville. It was near Moville, Iowa, and I
Yeah.
was a mile away from it live during the 5 o'clock news. I'm just like, can
Mhm.
we get like I don't. You never want to say, can we get more tornadoes because people think you're sadistic.
Exactly.
But it's like if there are more storms, like they're happening somewhere, I want to be able to see with the storms that are happening. So it's a very fine line when explaining it to people.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've never
But
even had a tornado.
Aw.
That's sad.
Have you had snow, a hurricane,
I had
a
okay.
nice breeze?
I had snow 2 times in my life. 3
There
times.
you go.
yeah. But
I conclude that's a rare weather event you've seen.
Yeah.
yeah. But hey, Midwest.
Dude, you had a tornado in 2008?
2007, and I was too young to even know that.
Oh.
So yeah, it's been sad.
Don't worry. I'll
That's-
fly you up here, and me, you, and Luke can take you chasing there.
Yes,
Yeah.
that can be the plan.
But
And when
yeah.
you guys look for internships, eventually, if you want to find something in the meteorological field, there are chasing programs like there's oh my gosh, Twistex, had been an incredible program. Now you have Taurus that has taken over really the majority of the field stuff. Like Team
Yeah.
Twistex was great, and now all we have left is Taurus really. But if you want Taurus, that you drive the Dow, so that's pretty cool, and you get to chase. So check that
Yeah,
out, Texas Tech.
for sure. Yeah. I've actually always wanted to see how the Dow works. To be honest, so, I know it's a double wins, but I've always wanted to see what the data come in wide, like real time. Also,
Oh, yeah.
chase, freaking so cool.
And sometimes on chase days out here, you'll find that, like, I went chasing one day and we had every chaser under the sun at this middle of nowhere gas station in western Oklahoma. And there were all these Dows. Like, I chased here in Siouxland one year. Oh gosh, it was like early summer 2020 because everyone was in quarantine and the roads were nice and clear. But Josh Werman and his Dow broke down at the gas station across the street. And I just kind of went, and kept going. But it was just, with heavy machines like that, man, you gotta have a good engineer on the team.
2019 was an insane year, especially that one outbreak in May.
Well, that was right when our convective field study left. That 10 days was the 10 days of the outbreak.
Yeah.
Our professor actually stopped doing the chases. Because, COVID and everything, they couldn't do it 2020. And then this year they were going to revamp it. And he just goes, you know what? We ended on such a high note. And there's just too many chasers out there. I don't want any of us to die. So we're gonna cancel because we on our 2019 chase, we ended up stuck behind a car accident. 2 chasers had crashed in Colorado, and we were in 2 miles of traffic on this single road. And the mesocyclone had already passed by. It had just hailed, just covering the ground. And some chaser in a white pickup truck, who I will never forgive, I don't know who they are, they decided that they were more important than the rest of us and kicked out and drove in the opposite lane. One lane either way, drove in the opposite lane, kicked up hailstones, and shattered our window.
Oh my.
And the glass shattered all over our students. And it was not good. And so I think that was one of the driving factors, too, is chaser convergence is becoming such a bad thing. And it's if you aren't being careful, it can get you.
Yeah, that's wow.
With the El Reno tornado, Tim Samaras, it was going south of him. That first event just made the right-hand turn.
Exactly. Yeah, the El Reno tornado was so funky too. Like, I love studying that one. It was so loopy.
It was just the entire it's just how the storm motion in itself was so weird. I think it started going north, then it went east, then it went south, then it went south. It was just so weird, and I just.
But, and then just like the satellite tornadoes that thing had.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer chasing, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota. It's flat. There's no one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, most chasers, if you're going up there, you either live in that area or you are chasing for your area, like a viewing area, because
Exactly.
they bust so often. But if you get a high base tornado,
Oh, yeah.
way better than anything you can get in Oklahoma.
For instance, I think it was the beginning of June where we had that one day on the North Dakota Montana border. You had that beautiful supercell that dropped that nice cone. I mean, after that, I went upscale to crap afterwards, but still, just that in the structure and just amazing.
Exactly. And you don't feel the guilt of it being like in Oklahoma where there's populated areas. In Montana and North Dakota and South Dakota, you can look and be like, okay, this is prairie for the next 20 miles.
Exactly.
And there's one or two homesteads, but it's tracking way away from them. Like the statistics are that most people will not be hurt by a tornado in a least populated area.
Yeah.
So and those people know how to take shelter. They have tornado shelters. Like,
yeah.
It's better than if you go to a city.
Exactly. But that's and I've always wanted to chase in the Badlands in South Dakota. That's always been one of my favorite places to chase. They see a tornado in the Badlands because it's so beautiful out there.
Yeah.
So
I chased the Badlands. That was the 2019 year. We went all over the map. But we ended up finding the town where they found Sue the dinosaur, Sue the T-Rex.
Yep.
And that was funny because I was walking to try and find a gas station, and I just saw this T-Rex metal sculpture, and it said, the home of Sue the T-Rex. And I went, you guys! Because a lot of times, if you want to be a paleontologist, you kind of want to be a meteorologist. I don't know why they go 2 and 2 together, but they do, and so everyone freaked out. So I highly recommend finding Sue's town because we actually saw a storm right near there.
Nice. Okay. So, anyways, I kind of have a quick question. Sorry to cut the fun in, but so if there's for anyone that wants to go like into broadcast meteorology, like what are some tips that you would give them? Because I've been curious about that.
Totally, yeah. There's so much that I wish I had known, which I'm very glad you asked that question because then I can help.
Yeah.
Because the first thing. Find your local TV meteorologist. Social media nowadays has taken off so much. Almost every meteorologist is required to have a social media page. Whether they maintain it or not, that's up to them. But a lot of us are single-handedly recording our own and responding. Reach out to them, say, hey, can I do a job shadow? Or, hey, can I have an internship this summer? Like, apply for them. Because they're the ones who will teach you the actual process of what you need to do in a broadcast setting. Because it's not just, oh, here's the weather forecast. Bye. Like, you have to make sure that you put the stuff in the script. You have to make sure that you do web stories. You have all this stuff that you need to learn that college simply can't teach you because they don't have a daily newscast. And that's really a key one. Know where to find the jobs. There's a lot of different ways you can find job postings. The major media companies all have their own web boards that are for free. Like you can go to Nectar or Tenga and you can type in Open Jobs Tenga and it'll give you a job board. You just type in meteorologist. Or you can do a subscription service known as tvjobs.com. That's one that I use. There's a ton of other ones out there. You pay a fee, but you get all of the companies' notifications in one spot. And that's been really helpful. But just, don't be afraid to reach out to all the other people in the industry already because they're the ones who will tell you what you need to do more than your meteorology professors will because those professors, more likely than not, didn't go into broadcasting. We're just a small portion of the meteorology field, so best to reach out early. If you're in high school, oh my gosh, people will love it because it shows initiative. If you're in college, great, you're available for internships. They'll start sending you stuff. And you can even get internships if some of them could be across the country, and they'll take you. And know how to put together a resume reel. That's the other thing. If you have a favorite meteorologist, put up like a list of 10 of them, type their name in, and then resume reel in YouTube. Watch it. Learn.
All right, awesome. It's kind of what I'm going to attempt or try to do. Down at Wish because I've actually been talking to one of the TV Mets there for the past few weeks. We just chit chat about weather, and whatnot, and about models, and we just talk back and forth a little bit. Because I've always wanted to see how they do it, like professionally. like what the steps goes on, either behind the scenes and what goes on in front. But I find it very interesting because I'm very, so I like speaking and this and that. So I'm not afraid to go in that field and
Absolutely.
whatnot.
And I
So
will tell you, like the field, it's shrinking, but not in the sense of like the jobs are becoming less and less. It's the people who
Yeah.
are willing to go into it are shrinking and shrinking. So there's a lot of openings. And it's just a matter of finding the spot that you want to be. Like for me, being from Michigan, I never thought I'd come out this far out west. Like South Dakota, what? And the job came up, and I thought, okay, morning job, straight out of college, this is a good opportunity. And then you can start working your way back home, or you can start at home and stay at home. People love that when a hometown kid does the weather, then they become a hometown man, and then they do like hometown grandpa. Like, oh, the legends are the ones who stay in the spot that they like. So start looking for areas that you'd think you'd want to settle down and live in, even though, clearly it's not that time in your career, but find areas that you'd aim for and just keep an eye out on the job boards. And even if the jobs aren't posted, reach out to the news directors. If you have a good working relationship with the people at that station, the meteorologists, the news directors, they will have you on their list and will let you know when a job pops up. And that goes for National Weather Service, anything in meteorology. Just network is a ton of networking is a ton of one of the stuff that gets you your job.
Yeah.
If you want to do broadcasting, unfortunately, and this is something that I've had to come to terms with, is if you're young, they won't look at you for the high-paying jobs.
Yep.
You could be as good as someone who has the age and have just as much experience. Like with the storm chasing, you could have the same experience as someone who's 40 years older than you, and they'll still go with the 40-year older than person. So I think you see a change in the industry now where it's less based on looks than it is on work and your product that you put out. So I'm hopeful that there'll be more opportunities here for younger people as time goes on.
Yeah.
All right. As we start coming to the close, you want to have any other questions, Luke? Angel?
I got one.
All right.
Where do you think TV meteorology will be in like 5 to 10 years? Do you think it'll still be the same or different?
I think that it's going to be different. The entire landscape of news is going to be different. It'll probably focus a little bit more on sports. But it be honest. But with places in the heartland, in anywhere, basically east of the Rockies, and east of the Rockies. Because at this point, this coast is getting more than we are. And we're still gonna need meteorologists on staff. Just for those, sunny or rainy. It's like, okay, if there's a severe weather outbreak, broadcast jobs for meteorologists, I can see probably, that is actually really interesting to think about. I think in the future, it's going to be a lot harder for them to get broadcast meteorologists because of the way that the news and media in general is treated. Meteorology gets kind of clommed into that, which is unfortunate because we're more scientists than we are journalists.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can bridge that gap and you can be great, but I think it's hard to get people to take a little bit less of a pay than other meteorology fields, to be harassed sometimes, get marriage proposals from people you don't even know, be cursed out by other. Yeah, no, that'll be a little side story, but it's gonna be. I think it's going to become more in demand to have broadcast meteorologists. Yeah. But yes, if you want to hear that side story, Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day a year ago, I got a flower bouquet, and our front office, they were like, "Katie, come here, you got to pick this up." And I was like, "Oh, my parents sent me flowers for this Valentine's? What?" And I go out, it's a bouquet of 12 roses and a bunch of beautiful flowers. I'm like, my parents did not have spent this much money, and I open it up, and the lady at the desk, who's it from? I was like, hoping it's from my parents. And I open it up, and the card just says, "Will you marry me?" No name, no number, anything. What, lady? What? So we with our flower purchasers, and I'm like, "What is this? A hospital? You have HIPAA laws for flowers?" And so all I got was it was a man. and he sent it in, and it was $105.
I mean,
I'm just like, bro, you put the cash in the envelope with the letter, I'd be more inclined to say yes. Like, come on. But, no, it was so strange, and to this day, I have accepted in my life I will die never knowing who sent me that marriage proposal.
that is oh wow, that is something.
And that's the fun one. Like, it's just it's harmless or anything. Then you get someone who's like, I'm gonna just figure you until you're unrecognizable, and sends it to your station and everything. And you're just like, haha.
That's great.
You don't know I keep an axe in my trunk, do you, bud? So, because yes, axe throwing, great hobby for meteorologists. Like almost all of us in town do that. It's a stress reliever. It's pretty nice.
That is true. Yeah. That would. Oh my, that's funny, but it's just weird.
Yeah.
But hey, oh yeah, I almost got that kind of money. I mean, I guess it could be taken as a nice meter. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I got
know.
another one.
Yeah.
All right.
How was it eating a cicada?
Oh my gosh. No.
no.
Oh, we ran a story months ago on it. And then apparently one of our weekend guys is sadistic, and he bought a box of 9 cicadas, and they made sure they left 2 just for the morning crew to test it. And so I felt obligated as a scientist to try it. And those outer hulls of popcorn, this like the kernel,
Yep.
and then when it pops, it was purely that wrapped in chocolate. There was no substance to it. And the rest of the broadcast, I was choking on cicada because it wouldn't get out of my throat. It was just, don't ever eat a cicada. It's so gross.
I'm just gonna sit here and not say anything.
Yeah. Let me guess. You're eating some right now.
When you live on a farm, you get bored. There's a lot that happens when you're bored. I've eaten cicadas, worms. I mean, spiders. I'm not gonna go into detail, but yeah,
That's an impressive resume you have there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's more. I mean, we actually used to go to this mall, and they had this weird candy store. And they used to have candied bugs. They have sour cream and onion mealworms and stuff, which really aren't that bad, but because they're famous in some salads and in Europe and stuff. So it's good. It's a good source of protein, So it's not that bad, I guess.
Fair point. Hey, as long as you got that seasoning on it,
exactly.
It has taste. So
exactly, but that's another kind of weird part of me. But oh well.
Nice.
I guess it's coming to close. It's been roughly almost an hour, about 40, 50 minutes. Thank you all. Thank you, Katie. Nickolaou, that's how you say it, for joining. Thank you so much. Glad to have you on again. Hopefully, this should work, and we should be able to post it this time, and it won't be messed up. So thank you for coming on. It's been awesome. Hopefully, we can have you on again in the future. Maybe so you can give us some more stories or whatnot. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thank you guys.
Have a great rest of your. Thank you.